Today, we will explore the dwarf planets in our solar system. Thank you for watching. Sit back and enjoy. Currently, there are 5 confirmed dwarf planets in our solar system, as recognized by the International Astronomical Union. Even though there are currently just 5, there are many more objects being considered for the dwarf planet category. It is estimated that there could be hundreds of other dwarf planets in our solar system. But for the sake of this video, we will focus on the 5 confirmed dwarf planets, starting closest to the Sun. First up, we have Ceres. Ceres was named after the Roman goddess of grain crops and agriculture. It is the smallest of the dwarf planets, with a diameter of roughly 950 kilometers, which is about 590 miles. Ceres is the only dwarf planet to have an orbit in the inner region of the solar system. It lies in the asteroid belt between planets Mars and Jupiter at an average distance of 413 million kilometers from the Sun, which is roughly 257 million miles. Even though Ceres is the smallest of the dwarf planets, it is by far the largest object in the asteroid belt. It makes up 25% of the entire mass of the asteroid belt alone. Ceres has no known moons or rings around it. The average temperature on Ceres can vary between -70 to -140 degrees Celsius, which is roughly -94 to -220 degrees Fahrenheit. The gravity on Ceres is just 3% of the gravity here on Earth, meaning you would experience near weightlessness if you stood on the surface. If you weighed 200 pounds on Earth, you would only weigh about 6 pounds on Ceres. The days here are about 9 hours long, as it rotates rather quickly on its axis. A single trip around the Sun takes Ceres 1,682 Earth days, meaning a year on Ceres is about 4.6 times longer than a year on Earth. There is no real atmosphere on Ceres, so it wouldn't experience shifts in weather. There is, however, evidence of water. Scattered around the rocky and dusty surface, there are patches of ice. Scientists also believe that Ceres likely has a solid core and mantle made of water ice. If that is the case, that means there is more water on the dwarf planet Ceres than there is on the entire planet Earth. To reach our next destination, we must venture beyond Neptune, the most distant planet from the Sun in our solar system. Out here, we find ourselves in a region with many objects, known as trans-Neptunian objects, or TNOs for short. This region is also referred to as the Kuiper Belt. Among these objects is the most well-known dwarf planet of them all, Pluto. Pluto is the only world so far to have been named by a child, and surprisingly, it was not named after the beloved Disney character. Instead, it came from 11-year-old Venetia Burney, who suggested to her grandfather that the newly discovered object should be named after the Roman god of the underworld. He then passed it along to the Lowell Observatory, where it was selected as the official name in 1930. Pluto is currently the largest of the dwarf planets, with a diameter of 2,370 kilometers, which is roughly 1,473 miles. On average, Pluto orbits roughly 5.9 billion kilometers, or 3.7 billion miles from the Sun. Pluto has 5 known moons, with no known ring system, and there is a thin atmosphere containing mostly nitrogen with some methane and carbon monoxide. The atmosphere has a bluish tint with distant, hazy layers. The temperatures here are extremely harsh as they vary from -228 to -238 degrees Celsius, which is -378 to -396 degrees Fahrenheit. The surface of Pluto has many interesting features, like towering mountains made of frozen water and gases like methane. There are also expansive valleys, vast plains, and large craters along the surface. The gravity on Pluto is about 6% of the Earth's gravity. So if you weighed 150 pounds on Earth, you would weigh about 9 pounds on Pluto. The days here are quite long, as it takes Pluto about 150 hours to complete a single rotation on its axis. A year on Pluto lasts about 248 Earth years, since it orbits the Sun at such a great distance. To this day, many people continue to debate the reclassification of Pluto from planet to dwarf planet back in 2006. But as time goes on, more and more objects like Pluto are being discovered far out in our solar system. It shows us that Pluto fits in much better with its dwarf planet family than it ever did with the 8 planets in our solar system. As we venture past Pluto, next up, we have Haumea. Haumea is named after the Hawaiian goddess of fertility, and it was actually nicknamed Santa by one of the discovering teams since they discovered it just after Christmas in 2004. Just over a year prior, in March 2003, a team had discovered Haumea in Spain, but no official discoverer was named, so both teams claim credit for its discovery. Haumea has an interesting, almost egg-like shape with a diameter of about 1,632 kilometers, or roughly 1,014 miles. It orbits the Sun in the Kuiper Belt at an average distance of about 6.4 billion kilometers, which is just over 4 billion miles. It is believed that Haumea may have lost about 20% of its mass in a collision with another object in its past. This could explain why the dwarf planet rotates so quickly. A day on Haumea lasts just 4 hours with its quick rotation, making it one of the fastest spinning objects discovered in our solar system. Although the days are short, the years are very long. It takes Haumea around 248 years to complete a single orbit around the Sun. The conditions here are once again extremely cold, with an average temperature of -241 degrees Celsius, which is roughly -402 degrees Fahrenheit. Astronomers believe that Haumea is made of rocky materials with a coating of ice, and not much is known about its surface or atmosphere. There are not a lot of details known about Haumea, as the only observations of this dwarf planet have been made by telescopes here on Earth. The gravity on Haumea is about 4.5% of the gravity here on Earth. So if you weighed 150 pounds on Earth, you would only weigh a little over 6.5 pounds on Haumea. Haumea has 2 known moons, as well as a ring system, making it the first known Kuiper Belt object to have rings. Do you think Haumea deserves a future mission to reveal more details of this egg-shaped world? Further out into the Kuiper Belt is our next dwarf planet, Makemake. After its discovery in March of 2005, Makemake was named after the Rapa Nui god of fertility. This dwarf planet has a diameter of about 1,430 kilometers, or 888 miles, and it orbits the Sun at an average distance of 6.8 billion kilometers. which is about 4.2 billion miles. The days on Makemake are about 22.5 hours long, making them a similar length to the 24-hour days here on Earth. But a single orbit around the Sun takes Makemake 306 years. This dwarf planet is another world that has only been viewed by telescopes, so not much details are known about its surface or structure. Makemake is believed to have a reddish-brown color, and scientists have also detected frozen methane and ethane on its surface. The average temperature on the surface is about minus 243 degrees Celsius, or minus 405 degrees Fahrenheit. The gravity on Makemake is just 5.1% of the gravity here on Earth. So if you weighed 100 pounds on Earth, you would only weigh a little over 5 pounds on Makemake. There is one provisional moon orbiting Makemake, meaning it is waiting to be confirmed by additional observations. And there are no known rings around this dwarf planet. Due to their size and time of discovery, Makemake, as well as our next and final dwarf planet, have played a fairly big role in our solar system's history, as it was these objects that led the International Astronomical Union to reconsider Pluto's classification as a planet. This eventually led to the vote that placed Pluto with its icy brethren in the dwarf planet category. Lastly, we have the furthest confirmed dwarf planet from the Sun, Eris. Eris is named after the ancient Greek goddess of discord and strife. Quite a fitting name, since the discovery of Eris is one of the reasons Pluto was reclassified, and that decision still causes discord and strife among people to this day. Eris orbits the Sun at an average distance of 10.1 billion kilometers, which is around 6.3 billion miles. Eris has a diameter of 2,326 kilometers, or 1,473 miles, making it only slightly smaller than Pluto. There is no known ring system around Eris, but it does have one small moon. Scientists believe that Eris likely has a rocky surface similar to Pluto, and it has a thin atmosphere containing methane and nitrogen that freezes and falls as snow when the dwarf planet moves further away from the Sun in its orbit. Once it gets closer to the Sun, the atmosphere is able to thaw once again. The temperatures on Eris vary from around minus 217 to minus 243 degrees Celsius, which is about minus 359 to minus 405 degrees Fahrenheit. One day on Eris lasts about 25.9 hours, making the days just a little longer than the days here on Earth. 1 year on this dwarf planet lasts around 557 Earth years, as it orbits incredibly far from the Sun. The gravity on Eris is the strongest of all the dwarf planets, but it is still only about 8% of the gravity here on Earth. So if you weighed 150 pounds on Earth, you would weigh about 12 pounds on Eris. Even though Eris played a big part in Pluto's reclassification, its discovery opened many doors for potential discoveries in the future. It showed us that Pluto was not alone far out in the solar system, and that there are many more objects like Pluto waiting to be discovered. The dwarf planets are truly fascinating worlds of their own, revealing more and more about our solar system. It fascinates me seeing the potential of what's out there, and it leaves me wondering about the potential of all the worlds we are yet to discover. I would like to thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to show your support with a like, and I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. If you would like to see more videos like this in the future, feel free to subscribe. Thanks again. Until next time, Take care, and be well.